And I am incredibly excited. I feel privileged and grateful that I have one of the most amazing Latina rappers in our studio. We have the one and only El Paso born Miss Crystal Poppin.
What's up? Hello, Victoria. Thank you for having me.
So Crystal.
Hey,
Crystal. You know how I feel about you. I think you're an incredible young lady. You are taking like this music industry by storm, and I love that, especially because you're an amazing, beautiful woman. Tell me, what is the best thing going on in your life right now? Something that nobody knows and something that you're so excited you cannot wait to tell everybody that's listening.
Well, Queen, honestly, I'm actually getting ready to start my album, getting ready to put the music together, start writing it. And I really feel like that's the most exciting thing to me right now in my career, in my life, because I feel like I haven't written my best songs of my life yet. And I think these are going to be those songs. So, I'm ready to jump into that mindset, to get, to feel like I'm that person already. How we were talking about manifesting earlier and stuff. I'm manifesting how it's going to feel to release that album. So that way I can get into the mindset of being that person already. So I'm excited to do that. And that's really what I'm looking forward to right now.
I love it. That's beautiful. And you're talking about manifesting.
Yes.
Is that something new for you, or is that something that just started happening?
I think it's something that that has been around, but when I come around people such as yourself, people who are like-minded as well, they bring it up a lot more, and it reminds me that that's how you have to think. That's something that you have to constantly be aware of and put yourself in, because when you don't, you let the blockages get in your way. Like I definitely, when we were on the car ride over here, I was like, there's things going on in the background as with everybody. And then I'm just like, man, my worries and, are going on in the background. And you guys just reminded me, you know what, you have to already think like you have it. So that was really helpful for me.
I love it. Well, I know that whatever you decide to do, you're going to be successful. And we're talking about albums. So I was listening to your music yesterday, okay? Yes. And I'm watching the videos. And it's so funny because I was telling my friend, the Crystal that I know, she's so, beautiful and passive the way I see you. Just gentle, such a beautiful soul. And then I'm listening to your videos and it's like, whoo, that was pretty intense. She's all shaking it, doing and be this, be that. And I'm all like, wow, but my little Crystal, what happened? You transform yourself.
Yes,
you are a true musician. You go up there, that's not the same Crystal that I know. So how does that make you feel? How did you get to be able to do that?
So I really feel like I really do feel there is two channels within me. There's the channel that is the fighter, the one that struggled, the one that is fighting for something.
Yes.
And those are the songs that I make, such as my song Livin'. When I introduce someone to my music, that's the first song I show them, because it shows you a little into my past, my pain, who I am, why I do this. But then as I started growing up, high school, after high school, I started partying, trying to get rid of my pain, trying to forget my sorrows and my troubles. And I would just drown it away. And I honestly started thinking I know everybody needs that release. So I also make music that, we can cry together, but then let's forget about it and go have your favorite drink together and just forget about your troubles for tonight. You know what I mean? So I definitely feel like I love to give both of those to my listeners.
Wow, I love that. It was yesterday I was experience listening to your music, and you're doing a great job. Congratulations. I mean, you are representing El Paso, and I think that's beautiful.
Thank you.
So we talked about something, well, first, and I just found this out yesterday. You write your own music.
Yes, I do.
Not all artists do that.
Right.
And that is tough to do.
Yes, definitely.
How did you get started?
So I started out, before I even knew that I wanted to be a rapper, make music at all, I was just a journaling all the time, always communicating my thoughts to paper like that, because I also didn't have a lot of friends growing up. So I also didn't know how, I was very socially awkward growing up, and I didn't know how to talk to people. People would make me nervous and stuff. And because of that, I would just like throw it all down on the paper. And once that started happening, then I was able to just kind of like express myself, and it started rhyming. Like once I would put it down on paper, I started rhyming because for some reason, because I always been like creative and stuff, I just didn't know that I could write music, you know? So once I started rhyming, I think that's when I started like realizing like, oh, I could, you know, I could do something with this. So I started like showing them to people, my rhymes. And then I eventually ended up in a studio one day, and then I put it all down.
So how old were you? Who was the first person you showed your music to? How old were you, and who was that first person?
I believe I was 20, and the first person I showed like a song to was my mom. Yeah.
What? Tell me, how did that go? What did she say?
So I put the headphones on her and I was like, listen to this. I just made this song. And it was a song about how I was just kind of like talking myself up, but like braggadocious, but at the same time, like in my own right. Like I have a right to say everything I'm about to say. And when she started hearing it, she started crying. Like, and then she made me cry. And I was like, don't cry, you're gonna make me cry. And I think that what I realized what was happening was she saw something in me that maybe we didn't know I had. And like from that moment, she was proud of me, you know? And I was like, wow. And that's how I knew. I was like, I need to do this, because after my first session, I fell in love with it.
Right.
And I was like, this is my path. Because I didn't really know what my path was before this. Like I went to college, I was changing my majors all the time. Like I really didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up, you know? And once I found music, that was it.
That's beautiful. And speaking of your mom, how does your relationship right now? Or even let's talk about growing up. When you guys were growing up, were you guys super close? Was she like mother of the year, daughter of the year? How did that turn out? I want to get to know you, Crystal, like your childhood. How did you become this famous artist?
So, I mean, in all reality, the reason I feel that I had so much pain to write about when I first started, well, I mean, to this day, was because of how I grew up and the things I had to go through and the things I experienced. My father passed away when I was very young. It was a month before my 5th birthday. So I remember him, you know what I mean? But a lot of it is very distant. And after we lost my father, then my mother became distant, and I don't hold that against her. And I like, we've talked about it, and I've even mentioned to her, I was like, I don't really like to talk about, you know, what we've been through. And I asked her, I was like, how would you feel about that if I did talk about it? And she was just like, if you feel like you need to, like, you go ahead and talk about it.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. I've held back a lot, like throughout the years, you know, like throughout interviews and stuff. But I think that the little that I do want people to know is that my mother loved my father very deeply, and we were such a happy family growing up. And once we lost him, it affected her in a major, major devastating way. And I think that her kids maybe would just remind her of that all the time. Right. So I think that that's why she started like getting into her work more, getting into her, you know, other things more. So I remember that. But we've repaired our relationship as adults, you know what I mean? Because she was also really young when it all happened.
How old was she?
I think she was 24 when he passed away, something like that, super young. And I think that we grew up with her. Yes. And now, like, she's like, my sisters have kids, and she's the best grandma, you know what I mean? And I think
that always happens.
Yeah, for sure. You know what I mean? Like, you know, she's doing that, and then she's just begging me to have kids. You know, she's just like, have babies. And I was like, Mom, I need to like make my career happen. And she's like, just have the babies and leave them with me. Like, and I'm just like, stop it.
I hope my daughters don't hear this, because they're like, you see, Mom? You see? We could just leave the kids with you.
That's what she wants. She's like,
that's
just leave the
sweet.
kids with me. And I'm like, oh my goodness. But yeah, like we're super close now. The whole family is, I think. And I think it's beautiful, honestly, like what we did go through, because I learned a lot through it. And it's the reason I became a musician in the first place, because I had no outlet, really. I no one was really encouraging me as a child, like, oh, you like, because I liked drama club. I did violin, you know, I did all of that stuff. But once I found something, I didn't no one was encouraging me to pursue things. So I just kind of like put things down. I would try things and put it down. And
you're man, you should be very grateful that you found that at such a young age, because most, I mean, even 50 and 60-year-olds, I mean, they're still looking for their passion, for what am I going to do with my life? And you were so young, and the challenges and drama that you went through. So you were right about 5. You had just turned 5 when you lost your father. How did you find out about that?
Ooh, so it was a crazy morning when I found out. I woke up to like women crying hysterically, and it scared me. That's how I woke up. I just remember this like crying, these cries I'd never heard before. And then I came out of my room and I just like walked towards my parents' room, and my mom she ran outdoor. And then when I looked into my parents' room, like my whole family was in there, like my aunts and like my sister and stuff. And I was just really scared, and I didn't know what was going on. And my aunt told me to like sit next to my sister, and then she was just like, "You should tell her." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" My older sister.
How old was your sister at the time?
I was about to be 5. She must have been 7, something like that. And then everyone left the room, and then my big sister was the one that told me. She was like, "Dad went to heaven." And I didn't know what that meant. You know what I mean? I was just like, "What do you mean?" Like, I didn't understand. And I just felt weird, you know, like I just remember the feeling, like I guess like it was an empty feeling, like I knew something was missing, but I didn't really fully understand it. And my sister was crying for sure, and I didn't cry at first. I didn't get it. So I started walking around the house, and then I just like, my mom was like running in and out the house, and then family members were coming over, and then that's really all I remember. It was just a crazy day.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. That can be very devastating to a child, you know, especially when you don't know how to manage your emotions. And then, of course, your mom is busy trying to figure out things in her life. It's hard. And she was 24. So that had to have been so hard for you. But look at you now. And these are challenges that we do go through. But I am just so happy and grateful that who you are now. You know, so what do you think your dad would think right now? I mean, you're in the Queen Up Now podcast, you know, what do you think your dad is thinking? Because, you know, they say that they're with us all the time.
I feel that. I know that.
Really?
No,
tell me about that.
I talk to him all the time. I feel like he's never left my side. I feel like he's watching over me. He's always right next to me. Whenever I need him, I feel his presence and his energy. And I talk about him so much, like even my friends feel they know him and stuff. You know what I mean? So it's really like I've kept him a part of my life. And I feel like the reason I love music so much is because of him, because he loves music, and he would always like get cassette tapes and like put him in the radio and like record music on it, and like record his favorite songs from the radio. And he had friends that were DJs, and then he would have their music on. He had so much cassette tapes, and a love for music. And I think that's really where I get it from. So I thank him for that. Like he gave me, I feel like, so one time I was meditating and I was talking to him, and he told me, and he's like, I give you your sauce. Like, you know, like you get that from me. You know what I mean?
I love that. And I love that you are open to receive that, because a lot of us, we don't open ourselves up. You know, we shut ourselves and everything's done, and we just live a depressed, horrible life. And I love that after all these challenges, because I'm sure that's not the only challenge you've had in your life, but after all the challenges, you're still with us and you're still going strong. And I think that's beautiful. So the podcast, we wanted to name, or we're talking about, we entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs, what we go through in a male-dominated world. And I was gonna say industry for you, but it's not. I mean, just this whole world is still male-dominated. And you being with, you know, in the music industry, how has that been for you? Is it true what people say out there, like, you gotta give it up to be able to get in, and you have to do all these crazy, nasty, horrible things, especially, you know, they ask women to do. Has that ever happened to you where you're like, man, this just doesn't feel right? I'm not.
For sure. I think that ever since I started, men try to like take advantage in certain ways. And thank God I never fell for that, because I've always had really good male friends around me. Ever since I started, my first producer, like his studios where I started making music at 1st,
Mm-hmm.
and then the people that would visit him to make music, they became my friends right away. So like
Right.
they've been with me, so they've been able to like make sure that nothing bad happened to me like that. But that has definitely come up a lot, and I want to say that I did hit like a stop in the road, like in the few years into my career, because of men trying to control me, men that promised me the world. I'm going to sign you, I'm going to give you this is going to happen, and we love what you are and what you do and how you sound. And then as soon as they got a hold of me, they try to flip the script on me and change everything about me. And when that happened, it just felt so that's when I realized that's what it means when people say like you're gonna sell your soul for fame. Like I had to choose if I was willing to give up what I believed in order to chase money, and I couldn't do that. So I ended up leaving 2 situations like that were presented to me, and I just feel bad for the women who don't know that that's out there, or the women that do pursue these advances that these men are making, and then they get nothing out of it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because they don't realize that that's really all they want. They don't care about you or your career or making you a star. Like, they care about getting what they want, how much they can get out of you, and as soon as you don't want to give it to them no more, they'll get it from the next one. You know what I mean? And just throw you away. And that's really what happens in this industry. I've seen it. People have tried me. People up there have tried me. Like, I don't want to say names, but I'm saying, like, I have met in rooms, like studios, with people that like hit me on Instagram, like, hey, I think you have a lot of talent, come to my studio. And then I go to the studio and it's like, they don't want to put me on the microphone, they don't want to show me music, they just want to talk about how beautiful I am, and they like what are you doing, and like, what's your number, and things like that. And I can't do that, you know? And I've walked away from several things like that, for sure.
Well, how old are you? You're like an old soul, right? How old are you?
So I don't like to talk about like how old I am, because no one knows how old I am. I like to keep that mystery. You know what I mean? But I definitely want people to know that I'm older than they think I am, but I got a lot to go in this game, for sure.
Good. Well, I just think it's amazing because you look incredibly young. I mean, I thought you were like in your 20s, like early 20s. So, but just the way you talk and the way you carry yourself, I mean, you can show all these young women so many things. So tell them something, like somebody, a young lady out there that wants to be in the music industry, and you know what you had to go through. Just, look at the camera and just say, give them a little advice, like what not to do. Because everybody knows what to do, what not to do.
I watched it flip. Where is it going?
Oh, sorry, se cayó otra
I'll
vez.
continue, right? That was a good.
Oh. Sí,
Yes.
Gracias.
Okay. Ready?
Okay.
Right there? Okay. So any woman that wants to enter into the music industry, there's so many things I can tell you for advice. There's so many things I can share with you as far as staying true to yourself, making sure you're making music that speaks to you, music that is true to you, that you want to listen to, focusing on your craft. Don't be so gullible. Don't listen to everything anyone says. Don't sign contracts without reading them or getting them revised. I've signed some bad contracts, and that definitely slowed me down. Luckily, I was able to find my way out of that with a really good team. Not everyone has a really good team. Build your team. Build your team with people who believe in you. Don't just be around people who are money hungry. Focus on being original in your own truth. Living in your truth, for sure, is so important, because when you live in your truth, your audience can tell that that's you, and it helps them connect with you so much more than if you're just trying to copy the next person, for sure.
Oh, and this is why I love you so much. You're such an incredible young lady, and I love this. That is such great advice, because that's the kind of advice that I want my kids. I have 2 daughters, and I want them to hear from someone like you, someone so young, and you seem like you got everything together.
I seem like that.
So we talked about the best thing that's going on in your life. The best thing. I want you, Crystal Poppin, please tell me something, because everybody thinks you have a perfect life. You're on videos, your Instagram account, everybody loves you. But there's this one thing that you're dealing with.
Yeah. I think that something you don't see on social media is like, I mean, I talk about it here and there, not a lot though, is that this journey gets very lonely. It's very, I hit like moments of depression for sure. It's something that I have to deal with, especially because I'm an emotional person. You know, I think that's why I'm able to translate that to the music. But I definitely find myself in a lot of lows, but the challenge is like facing those lows and knowing that it's going to get better and you're going to get yourself through it. And whenever I'm facing those lows, really, you know what I do?
Please tell us.
I go to my laptop, I put on my headphones and I put on a beat. And I work through it. And on a few minutes in there, like 10 minutes in, I'm forgetting about what's making me sad. You know what I mean? And I think that that's a beautiful thing, because I always know, like, whenever I'm facing something like that, I know that music is always gonna be there for me, for sure. And definitely, you know, I have loved ones around, I have my family, things like that, for sure. But sometimes I'm facing things like that. It's just like, you know, things that I don't know if like my family would understand, like about
absolutely.
this, for sure. It definitely gets lonely. It's not always fun. It's very challenging. It's not guaranteed. A lot of the wins sometimes are very spaced out. So it's like trying to find the motivation to make it to your next win is also a challenge too. I'm also independent, so I don't have like a money machine behind me. So anything that is fueling the fire, I have to get up and go get it. If I don't go get it myself,
no one's gonna get it for you.
Get it for me. No one's gonna save me. That's something that I didn't realize early on. When I first started making music, I was like, oh, someone's gonna find me and I'm gonna get saved. You know what I mean? And that just like that, if I hadn't thought like that in the beginning, I think that a lot of stuff would have gone a lot differently. I wish I would have learned that right away. You know
I love that you said that. Nobody is going to save me. And this is something that we all have to learn, especially us as women, because we want to play that part, you know, I don't know what's going on. What happened? You know, and we know what we're doing. You know, that's a form of manipulation, in my opinion, because we use that. We do that. But I love that you said that. Nobody's going to save you. You're a successful artist. And here you are talking about depression. And I love that, because there's a lot of people that see you on Instagram, or they just see your career and they're thinking your life is perfect. And you just mentioned depression. You just mentioned what you go through. So, I mean, if Crystal Poppin goes through this, imagine what the rest of us go through. But thank you for being honest and letting these women and men know, because men go through depression also. Men have a way of living, and sometimes they want to act tough. And I love that you're being honest, because when I talk, I asked you, be on the podcast, but please be honest. Let's not sugarcoat anything, because people need to know the truth. They're not going to learn how to change their life or how to have a better life if we're not being honest. You know, if you're like, oh, I'm perfect and everything's great and I make so much money and my life is, I mean, first of all, we all know that's not true. Because it's life. It's not real. So the worst thing that you went through, that you're going through right now, what would that be again? Tell me.
The worst thing, I guess, just feeling alone, whether you feel like no one has your back sometimes, or you feel like, you know.
So just loneliness.
I would say loneliness. I would also say like stability. Stability is a really big thing, for sure, especially if you're doing it on your own. Because I am. That's a big theme in my life. Like, am I going to be stable? How long is this stability going to last? How do I get to the next level? You know, that's constantly on my mind. Also, getting used to the judgment and knowing that it's going to exist whether I like it or not. And it's never going to go away, and it's only going to get worse. The more I get closer to my dreams, it's going to get worse. And I'm mentally preparing myself for that. And I know how to deal with it better now than when I first started. It's not an easy thing to do, to deal with the hate, to deal with
how do you handle that? The comments, right? Do you read your comments?
Always, yeah, for sure. I mean, I read it because I love to respond to my fans, the people who support me, and
then you
love.
Have people that don't support you.
Yeah, I have people who are just there to like project their like negativity on me because I guess they think I don't go through things and they feel like they need to bring me down. But I've realized that this is how I got over that. I sat there one day and I was like, I would never talk to anyone like this
Right.
online. I don't even care like who, it's a celebrity that'll never read my comment
Mhm.
to like whoever, I don't care. I would never talk like this to anybody. And I was like, why would someone talk like that to me?
Right.
And then I realized it's because they're an ugly person. Like
Yes.
they have
They're
ugliness.
insecure.
Insecure. It's just it's ugliness within their heart,
Right.
and they're throwing it out, and they don't care where it goes, where
Mhm.
it lands. They're just throwing that ugliness out, and I started feeling sorry for people.
Yes.
And I started feeling sorry for people who have the ability to talk to people or to treat others like that. And I was just thankful that that's not the type of person I am.
Do you remember that first comment that made you cry? I remember my first comment that made me cry. That's
Really?
why I'm like, oh, it was devastating.
What did he tell
It
you?
was horrible.
Yeah, it's just like picking you apart, right?
Yes, well, me, because they said you, and I'm gonna tell you because I think it's hilarious. Now I do.
Yeah.
But somebody had posted a picture of me on one of my groups, and another lady that used to date my now husband said, "Oh, his ex-wife is way prettier and hotter," and I was like,
Oh my God.
"Oh, it was so cute." This was a long time ago, but I thought it was so cute because it made me angry at the time. And then I did what you did. I said, why would she say something like that? You know, and then of course I felt like, oh, I'm great. I don't know what they're talking
Right.
about. But I had to go take a step back and say, what's going on with you, Victoria? I mean, obviously what this woman said is not true. So what is really going on? And then I had to feel sorry for them and be like,
Yeah.
they don't know any better.
Yeah.
They don't know how to be nice. And again, that comes from childhood, and I let it go. And now when I read those type of comments, I just like brush it off, kind of like, not a big deal.
Yeah.
Because I do believe that, you know, they're either jealous, they wish you're you're a mirror for that person.
Right.
So that was tough for me. Do you remember your first comment?
I mean, it was definitely along the lines of something like, "Oh, she freaking sucks. Why does she make music?" You know, like it was that vibe for
Yes.
sure. And when you're first making music, you're so vulnerable. Like
Yes.
everything everyone says matters to you. And I wasn't used to hate comments because before
Right.
that I wasn't really like posting like that or nothing like that. So now I'm posting, now I'm showing you my art. Now I feel like hiding
Yes.
already. And then people are like starting to say like, "Oh my God, this is like what does she think she's doing?" And like, "Why would she do this?"
Aww.
And
look at you now.
yeah, you know what I mean? Like imagine if I had let those first comments get to me, like, I
Yes.
would not be here right now.
Yes.
Living my truth and following my dreams, you know?
Absolutely.
So I have learned to accept them for sure. And I'm just preparing for the worst now. Like when I post, I prepare for the worst. And then when I don't get the worst, I'm like, that wasn't so bad. You know what I mean?
Good for you. Well, I'm happy that, you know, you went through that because it makes you a better person and you get to learn about yourself because those comments can be hurtful.
Yeah, that for sure. And then especially if you're having a bad day and then you
Right?
go and maybe you are
Yes.
doubting yourself. Maybe I did make a song and I didn't all the way feel it was perfect, but I still put it out. And, you know, like then I'm more vulnerable and
Yes.
those comments are going to like get to me a little more. But like I just have to remember why I do this, who I'm doing this for.
Right.
You know, not only myself, but I plan to reach my goals and my dreams, and not only to help my family, but to help my team, my day ones, the people who have supported me the most throughout
Yes.
this time. You know what I mean? So
I love this. I love it. So tell me, does Crystal, because you said lonely, a little
Yeah.
lonely, do we have a boyfriend, a fiance, a friend? I don't know. Let's talk, because I know you and I talked about this before, but I want to know what's going on in Crystal Poppins' love life.
I have a big boy.
And you said that. Okay, so this is the coolest thing.
Yeah.
You said to me once, I love big boys. Like, I just love, please tell us why, because I know what you mean.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know if everybody else, because they see you, you know, this beautiful, gorgeous, thin, amazing woman. And you're like, I love big boys.
Yeah.
What's that all about?
So I think so. Growing up, like I was very mistreated by the pretty popular people. Even the guys and the girls were
Yes.
so mean to me because I was like, you know, I was like a Zoomies hot topic girl, and like you know what I mean. And people would even tell me like, why don't you wear Hollister? Why don't you wear this and that? And like, you know what I mean? I would like get shamed
Yes.
for who I was all the time by these popular kids. So I hated popular kids, and
Yes.
girls would make me nervous. I think through music, I learned how to relate to women, because during school, I didn't know how to talk to girls because girls were just so mean to me. And so I was more of like a guy's girl, you know,
Yes.
more guys were my friends. And it was usually like big boys were so cool. Like they were just like the coolest to me. So I just have like an admiration for them. And I just like loved them like being my friends and growing up and stuff like that. And I think we also related in the fact that they never thought that a pretty girl would like them. And I'm getting that a lot. Like people tell me like I would never think that like a pretty girl would like big boys,
Right.
you know what I mean? And I just think we relate, you know, we have like a common ground
Right.
in a way.
Well, you have your past, you
Yeah.
know what, and you talk about the Mean Girls Club. We all, well, I know I went through the Mean Girls Club, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
but yeah, I love that's how. Do we get a name? Is he from
No,
El Paso?
I don't see a name.
What does he do? I need
just-
to know everything
He's
about
just
him.
king of the big boys. That's
Oh,
it.
perfect, perfect.
King big boy. And so the
Look
funny,
at that smile. Good for you.
the funny thing is that we did go to school together,
Mhm.
and he was friends with the people that were mean to me, but he was never mean to me. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So he was like actually popular, you know what I mean? And then I was just like, I don't like your friends. And he was just like, well, you know, like I'm not like that, whatever. And because he was cool with me in high school,
Mhm.
when I started rapping and I needed to like find security guards, I immediately thought of him, and I called him up one day.
Uh
You know
huh.
what I mean?
Hello.
Hey, I was like, hey, I need security at these shows, but people are getting a little crazy with me. Like, you know, I need someone there. And he's like, I got you. And he's all cool. He's cool all the time. You know
Oh,
what
I
Mr.
love
Cool.
it.
And yeah, like we just go way back. So like,
Well, good for you. That makes me so happy. What about, and you said it gets crazy. Like, what's the craziest thing that's happened to you?
Oh,
Like,
girl, I've been grabbed at shows.
Ugh.
I've been like almost people trying to start fighting with me. Men, like, because so I think the most intense moment I had at a show was a guy was stinking drunk. Like you could smell the liquor on this man, and he couldn't even talk. He was slurring his words. But I was barely starting out. I didn't have security at this time. And I'm the type of person that I'm always going to take a picture, no matter what. If you ask me for a picture, I don't care where I'm at. I don't care. I'm Chicos Tacos,
oh,
looking
I
crazy.
love that.
Like if you ask me for a picture, like I'm going to take the picture for sure, because I love to do that for my fans. But so like that's my mentality. Even if this guy stinking drunk, I was like, fine, I'll take a picture with him. And he was with a friend, and he gave his phone to his friend, and then he like put his arm around me, and then he started hugging me, and then he started trying to grab me, you know what I mean? And before he did, I pushed him off me, and I was like, no, don't do that. And then he got mad at me, and he was like trying to fight me after that. Like I'm like,
I was gonna say,
I'm like this tiny little thing, and he's like this huge guy, and he's trying to like start problems with me. And he was just like, who do you think you are?
oh my God.
And I was like, oh my God, I need to go. And I like just went away. You know what I mean? So that was probably the most intense thing that's happened to me for sure.
That sounds pretty intense.
Yeah, it was weird. It was scary. I was by myself. Like it just was not a good situation for a girl to be in, for sure. So it's another thing that happens in the music industry. Like if you guys are a female artist, he doesn't have to be a security guard. Like just have a man with you at all times, for real. A friend, a dad, a brother. Have a male with you at all times, because the second you're alone, people are gonna try to, if it's a drunk fan, if it's someone, if it's a producer trying to like take advantage of you, if it's a promoter not trying to pay you your money. There's so many different situations you'll be in, and you will not be respected. So always have a male representative with you.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you
sure.
for letting us know, because there is a lot of people out there that need to know all of this good advice that you're giving. So thank you so much. And not just that, again, thank you for being here. Tell me something, Miss Crystal, something about you, okay, that nobody knows. Something that you're like, this is so embarrassing. I can't believe I'm going to say this. And I want juicy, okay? Juicy.
Let me see.
You know what it is? Think about it. I don't. Everyone's going to be like, what is it? I just want to, so these men also can relate to you? First of all, how did you learn to all that? Because
to
your
twerk
fit
yourself?
was
Dude,
good.
I
I
did-
tried it yesterday, and there was me in the mirror, and it just was not working.
I didn't know how to do it for the longest. I didn't know how to like, you know, so I was very tomboy growing up. So I didn't like wearing dresses. I didn't like, you know, doing none of that. Until I got out of high school and started clubbing and stuff. That's when I started wearing dresses,
Yes.
you know what I mean? But before that, no, I was like always like sneakers and jeans and like, you know, so, and I would never like to show my butt. So I would like tuck it in, like wear a long shirt and stuff, you know what I mean? So it wasn't until, I started doing music, and it wasn't even at first. When I first started doing music, I wasn't even like portraying like that side of my, you know,
the sexy,
side,
yes.
you know what I mean? It wasn't until it was kind of like a rebellion moment for me musically, because I had I really had it with everybody like trying to tell me what to do, how to dress, how to be, what to talk about on my music, and I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it badass, and I'm gonna do it like y'all ain't never seen before. And that's when I was like, all right. I started getting in the gym. I started working on my body. I started like making music that you can turn up to in the club, because people are like, oh, I can't play your music in the club. DJs would tell me like, can't play your music in the club, like, and it's just like all this constant people trying to tell me, like, shape me and change me. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna do it my way. And that's when I started making these bangers, and I started like looking good.
Oh,
I started like, I was like, okay, I like this. But I didn't go all the way, just stay there. You know what I mean? I still stuck to like who I am for sure. And that's how I started putting out my songs like Livin' and All the Good Die Young, and just reminding people like, hey, yes, I can look good on camera and twerk and turn up the club, but don't forget like who I really am. And now I'm on stage with a band. Now I'm on stage and I'm doing a lot of things that a lot of people can't do. You know what I mean? Musically. But embarrassing, let me see. Something embarrassing.
Something amazing that happened to you. It doesn't have to be embarrassing, but something nobody knows about you.
Something nobody knows.
I
mean,
you've never told anybody.
Oh my God. Hold on. Okay.
We can come back to it if you can't think of it.
Okay, because I'm
That's
just
up
like,
to you. I think I put you on the spot and you're like, wait, do I want to say this? Do I want to say that?
I know.
That's okay. We'll come back to that.
Okay.
And vamos a hacer un corte.